Time for some silver. Alright, on my last video, I took this old ugly brass ring and recasted it into this, which is much better, much more shinier. Actually a good metal. It's silver. The notches on the top here, I'm going to take this little bit of detail wire and I'm going to put a piece on either side of it so it's got a nice little twist on either end. And then I'm going to take this $2 half done cab and I'm going to cut a little square right into the bottom there and put it right on the top. Some people might be mad I'm cutting this up, but it's only good for so much. It's very porous and plenty of inclusions and cracks in that. I don't want to make one whole cab out of it. I did with another piece and it didn't come out that great. So I think a smaller chunk right in here, which will be this will be the face and this will be the back, which will be much harder material right in here. So let's start with soldering on our detail wire. Sweet. And I got both of them on there. I gave a little extra on the end so I could file it down and make it flush with this side. Had a little bit of over solder right here, but that's okay. I'm alright with that. Easy to clean up. Let's get to that. I'd say that's about good for now. A little bit more cleanup on the top side of each one of these details. I want to file out just a little more, but I can wait for a little bit on that one. If you go to put your hand in your pocket, these little pieces won't be snagging on a whole bunch of stuff. We'll deal with that later. Now that that's done, I think it's time to make our bezel wire. I don't currently have a rolling mill, but I got a hand and a hammer and we can make one. Let's do it. Oh yeah, still pretty toasty. I think it was just enough. You can see the little bit of shrinkage that's going on there. That little ridge just before all the silver. Let's pull it out of there and see what it looks like, huh? Little ugly, little sandy, but I think it'll do just fine. So what I'm going to do, this part is the top and this is the end of it. What I'm going to do is cut this off and get it out of there. Save that for another time. This too. Oh, there we go. This is about all I would need it out of that whole thing. I'm going to clean this up and I'm going to hammer it just in one direction so I can get a nice flat piece out of it, and then clean up the edges once it's a little more rectangular, and then we can turn this into our bezel. Alright, here's that little tiny bit of rod. I flatten it out to where I kind of want it to be. I might do one more round of it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten out one side nice and flush so it's got a straight line on it, so I can have it ready for a piece of turquoise. I'm going to prep this part, and before I actually take my calipers and run it down this to cut my bezel out of it, it's time to start on this. That way I know what height I need when I use my calipers for the bezel, because this one's a little thick. And if you look at this ring here, if I use that high of a stone, it's going to look a little off. And I want like half of what this slab is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my shape out. I'm going to get it to a little bit of a profile on all four sides so it's nice and square. And then I'm going to trim it on the bottom after I dome out essentially the top. It's not going to be a dome because it is a square, but it'll give me a better idea of how far I need to go once the top is done. It didn't turn out as good as I thought, but that's okay. I have plenty of glue here. There's a little, you can see that little crevice. It goes through this side and through the bottom. This is where I showed you that little square I was going to cut out. This will be the face. I'm going to fill this little bit with glue, which is not uncommon. It's very common for people to stabilize turquoise with epoxy. I'm going to do it with a little bit of glue that I have. Get a little more stable. Make it a little more sturdier, so if I go to cap this out, it's not going to shatter into a few pieces on me. I'll be happy for that one if it comes out as one solid piece. And then the last bit that I'm going to do for this is put a little dab right on the back. Just like that. And then I'm going to take a screw and try and get it as dead center as I can so that I can finish cabbing out the rest of this. There's a lot of people that they say, oh, use dopping wax. Well, I've tried dopping wax and so far it's not worked out very good for me. So I say super glue and a screw. Alright, I think we're just about ready to shape this up a little. This glue's not 100% dry. I am impatient, so I wouldn't be surprised if this popped off of here. But we can get to doing some kind of work. Well, I'm sad to say that this material is not going to work out. It's too soft. I should say it's too variant on soft and hard. This side is a little harder than the other side, and it basically turns into mush when I'm cabbing it. The other issue I'm having is my cabbing machine spins way too fast right now. I want to change it out, at least for the pulley and or the electric motor that I can turn up and down based on the speed that I need for the material I'm working on. So the only thing I'm going to use this for is smashing it up one day and trying some inlay work. But I already made another piece that's much better quality, much harder material, and it looks so much better. It looked good on there. Let's get to the bezel. There's a cut I'm looking for. Nice little piece. I need to clean it up a little more. A couple love taps on it before I file out both sides to make them nice and clean. And then I can shape it to go along the top. It's a little thick for a bezel, but I want it to be. This one's a practice ring. I'll wear it. Before we start on that, I'm going to make some more detail. Get my shot block out, punch out a couple pieces and clean them up, and then we'll put them right on the edge here. Left and right. Once that's done, we'll solder on our bezel and give it one final once over and clean up. And then I can put my piece of turquoise in there. Let's get to it. There's a little bit of detail now. I like it. I mean, it's a little off and a little bit over soldered, but I'm happy with it. Everything on this one kind of shifted over this way a little bit, but that's okay. Now we can put the bezel on after I make it. Well, that's everything. Oh, everything for soldering. Yeah. Nice little bit of detail on the edges. I got my bezel on there. I like it. Nice and soldered in. No gaps. Still got to shave the top just a little bit. And I have to shape up just a tiny bit on this stone before I can put it in. But the last thing I'm going to do is focus on the bezel. I'm going to trim it down from the top a little bit, and I might add in a little bit of detail with it. Probably get my triangle needle file in there and cut me some grooves for sure on the corners. That way I can fold down the edges nice and neat. I think we can call it finished. Let's get to the rest of the cleanup. Well, here it is. Not bad. I want to do some more cleanup on it. Clean up the bezel a little bit. I should have done that before I soldered it on, and I forgot, but that's okay. Remembrance for next time. Still doesn't look too bad. For sure the cab and the bezel could have got a little bit more shaving on them, but I'm happy with it. Next.